stand up. Even if you're outside, you kind of like lower yourself, sit down, and you, if you're there to ask for some salt or some onion or whatever it is, you don't just go
Yeah.
there and you stand
Right.
right at the door. Oh, ngapudi maulo kinga masima. You're gonna
Right.
sit down, fold your legs, and you're gonna be like, and you kind of talk with a softer tone,
Right.
than you would talking to your from somebody in your own household, like your brother, your sister, your mother, or your father. You
Right.
kind of talk with a softer tone, like a more approachable tone. And that's why I say for me, it's a bliss because man, I've learned so much through getting sasad and being getting disciplined and whatnot. And I've learned so much of our people's culture that I wouldn't
Right.
I wouldn't give up for anything. And I'm proud of
Yeah.
it. I'm
Right.
proud of it.
Yeah. To piggyback off of what Fatu said about how do our people back home treat Samoans that are born in the states. I do remember when I went back home to Samoa because I did grow up in the states, and of course my Samoan is broken. Um, it was a big culture shock for me too. Coming from the going from the city to you know when I got off the plane and the plane the runway is pretty much like or like the where the stairs come off of the plane
Hmm.
and you walk straight onto the runway and and then you walk to the one airport that's there.
Terminal.
Yeah, my family's from Upolu, so I just remember when I landed there, I was just like, oh, what the heck, like me coming from the states was like, yo, where's the terminal? Where's all these people or whatever? But also I do remember when I went there. Um, I was there in 2005, 2004,
Hmm.
2005, and I do remember
Excuse
the the kids that were my age, they were more fascinated.
me.
It's just it wasn't too I don't know why, but around this time not too many people were going back home. And so when I went back and this time not an adult, the old people go back all the time, but me going back as a teenager, all the teenagers there, they were fascinated. Like they were asking me questions about everything about the states, what it's like growing up. Um, and then meeting cousins from New Zealand that went to Samoa, and they were all fascinated by a lot of things. I would say the only people who kind of gave me a different look was like the older people. You know, they're trying to tell their kids you don't want to be like Fiapalami or anything, like,
Hmm.
and kind of using me as an example. But I think the only difference I was wearing some Chuck Taylor shoes. I was wearing Converse.
Oh,
That was
gangster.
the only thing. I just had shoes on. I just had shoes. But I do remember like they had like they were really judgmental on that part. But for the kids that was my age, they were totally fine. They just wanted to know. They wanted to be educated about what
Yeah.
life was like. Um, but definitely that. And then Fatu also asked, let me see. He asked about to ask you, how do we polys treat other polys who love and support the traditions but aren't learning the ways of the island? Like how do you let me try to see how you word this. How do we polys treat other polys who love and support the tradition but aren't learning the ways of the island? Like, what's your opinion on that, Ruto?
I think everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody has kind of like Fatu was saying, everybody has their own opinion. So
Uh-huh.
if I were to answer that question, my answer would be, um, if you're willing to learn, all the more power to you. I mean, this is your culture. Your, you know, this is your culture. This is a part of your identity. And if you're willing to learn it, I'm telling you, any and every Samoan out there is willing to teach you. But the question is, are you willing to learn. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
willing to teach anybody someone. If I meet
Yeah.
somebody who grew up here in Hawaii and spoke fob someone or spoke, broken someone or whatever it may be, and if they're willing to learn, I will teach them. You know,
Mhm.
I will make friends with them. I went to a job. I went to a job in Hilo, right?
Uh-huh.
And I saw this big kid. I was like, man, this guy looks someone. And then I saw his name tag, and his name tag was someone. I was like, you someone? He's like, yeah. And then I spoke to him in Samoan, and he's like, I understand Samoan, but I don't speak to good of Samoan because I was born and raised in Hilo, like Big Island, right? I
Yeah,
told him,
yeah.
bro, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you keep learning, keep grinding and keep trying to learn. And if you want to, I mean, like I said, here in Hawaii, there's Samoan classes like left and right.
Yeah.
The community colleges here, there's Samoan classes because there's Samoan teacher, there's a big Samoan community. I think anywhere you
Yeah.
go, there's a Samoan community. And as long as you are willing to learn your culture, your language, your traditions, I'm telling you, they will be willing to teach you. And like I said, that's just my answer. And some people, it's kind of like will have the reaction that Cyrus was mentioning. They'll be like, eh, yeah, ba, iba ayoko ka maparang ilalili lo
Yeah,
fai
exactly.
eh,
Exactly. Yeah.
ay, wait ka maparang ilalili lo fai saka. But I'm telling you,
Wow.
yeah, right.
Exactly.
There will always be
Yeah.
people like that. But I'm telling you now, from my point of view, if you want to learn how to make the saka, I will teach you how to fo era fai valu da kalo. I will
Right.
even teach you how to make the pe for the saka. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
It,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
it's easy. And when I've had friends too, growing up.
Mhm.
So they were born and raised in the mainland, and they moved back during high school, and I met them through high school and whatnot. And they sent them back because they were troublemakers.
Oh,
Majority of
damn.
the time, the Samoan kids like up in the mainland that have family back home, the main reason that they send you back home is one, they want you to learn the language and the culture. Two, you a
Yeah.
troublemaker and you
Yeah.
gonna learn today. You know what I'm saying?
That
So
sounds
they
about
gonna
right.
Yeah,
send you
yeah.
back home. So my friend like he came, I think, oh yeah, so he came like right around ninth grade and whatnot. He was like brand new. He knew a little bit of someone. But I tell you what, by the ending of like high school, he spoke fluent Samoan.
Mhm.
He he knew how to act appropriate and accordingly, when in front of elders and whatnot. He knew how to do the saka. He knew how to do the umu. And that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. As long as you are open and teachable, I'm telling you, there's man, I would love to share my culture, our language with anybody who's willing to learn. Anybody who's willing to learn, I would love to share with that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Right.
for me, my answer is I'm pretty acceptable. And like I said, not everybody is like, acceptable. Some people are stuck in their old ways, and
Right, right.
some people are a little bit more open minded. And it to me it all falls down to how you were raised up. If that
Right.
was the mentality growing up, you're growing up as an adult, you're gonna have that mentality. It's up to you to choose to accept that mentality or change your mentality and be more accepting. So just like any culture, I feel like there's people who's gonna be accepting and
Mhm.
people who are gonna be like stuck in their old ways and whatnot.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds about right. I think one of our viewers had a question. He said, Bugs McJeff. He said earlier you mentioned that you had difficulty mentioning things to your family, that you would tell friends because of the masculinity of sharing feelings. Is the machismo an important part of upbringing, or is it just more defective?
Oh, was that question for me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
can you
you.
read that again? Sorry, I was answering chat.
Oh no, you're okay. He said, Bucks McJeff said earlier you mentioned that you had difficulty mentioning things to your family that you would tell your friends because of the masculinity of sharing feelings. Is the Is the
Machismo.
machismo?
Machismo.
Yeah, there you go. Machismo an important part of upbringing, or is it more effective, destructive? Sorry.
So I think for that, it's like every family is different. Some families share more feelings than others. Because I have cousins, man, they will share almost anything with like their other siblings. But for me, growing up, with a Samoan mom and a Taiwanese dad, I kind of take after my dad. So my dad tends to keep to himself. So my dad is a little bit different. He's Taiwanese, and my dad rarely ever says "I love you." But you know what? I know my dad loves me because he wakes up 4 o'clock a.m. every morning to go to work. He comes back 5 p.m. Every day, puts food on the table, clothes on my back, a roof over my head, food in my stomach, and provides for whatever I need, whether it be school materials, whether it be a
Yeah.
project I'm working on. My dad doesn't have to tell me he loves me for me to know that he loves me because his actions shows it all. So I guess for me, growing up, that part of him keeping to himself and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, like my dad would share some stuff with me that he wouldn't share with my other siblings, but at the same time, I feel like that part of him has become a part of me where I don't divulge, other things to my siblings. It's not because I don't trust them. It's not because I don't love them. It's just easier for me to tell a friend than it is to tell, one of my siblings. And it's like
Yeah.
it's also part of that, being machoist and whatnot and but to me every setting is different and I think it falls down to, family environment because I have cousins who, man, they just love on each other. If somebody got a new girlfriend, everybody knew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For us, if somebody got a new girlfriend, it's like they find out when they see you. They my brothers are not gonna tell me, oh yeah, this is my new girlfriend, blah 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 blah. If I run into them and then I'll find out, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
every family is different and I believe it's the same for you guys. You either have like, not to say that I'm not close with my siblings or anything like that, like I'm super close. If they need help, I'll give them help. If we want to do something for our parents, like, just Christmas, the holidays, we banded together, we came up with a lump sum of money and we gave it to our parents as a gift to kind of like show thank you and season of giving. They gave you life.
Yeah.
They give you life. You give something back. It's not only appreciation, but it's almost like a given. You know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and that kind of like plays into like I said, like your family setting. My family is like not perfect, but we weren't broken. I have friends who have broken family and whatnot, and for them it's a little bit harder to do stuff like that. But like I said, back home is really big on religion. Religion is a big thing back home, and it's like part of
Yeah.
that is like learning to forgive. You know,
Hmm.
forgive. You can't move past those feelings. You can't move past whatever it is that's holding you back. From you either sharing your feelings or just loving somebody else or your parents back if you don't have that forgiveness. And it's like I said, for me, it's like a blessing growing up back home, and it's like stuff like that. It's like I'm not perfect, but if somebody does me wrong, I try my best to forgive them. Okay, so
Yeah.
little sidetrack. So
That's okay.
I had somebody. I shared this with my chat, and they were like, um, they were kind of like really surprised and they were like they were feeling the vibes of like what I decided to do. So uh, I was working, I hired a contractor to do like a custom wall for me, right? And homeboy, I gave him probably over $100, like of money, material, probably like 150,